Burnley 0, Liverpool 1. Talk about leaving it late. Again, Liverpool score in stoppage time, pretty much with one of the final kicks of the ball, a penalty by Mohamed Salah against the 10 men of Burnley, following a handball by Hannibal. Welcome. Plenty to talk about. Mark Donaldson and Stevie Nicol. Simple way to start, Stevie. That was never in doubt for Liverpool, was it?
Oh, wow. I mean, even I feel a little bit for Burnley.
Wow.
But, at the end of the day, it comes down to basic football things. That's why Burnley have lost this game. If Hannibal doesn't turn his back and just stays strong and big, then this doesn't happen. Football is a simple game, complicated by coaches and players. And one of the simple rules is when you go to close the ball down, you keep your eye on it. You don't turn your back. And that very simple thing that you're told as a kid has come back and bit Burnley in the backside. The way they defended was absolutely superb. Mm-hmm. You 100% can have problems with how Liverpool went about trying to break them down. But from a defensive point of view, Burnley were just outstanding. And then, as I said, just one simple, basic football premise that wasn't done correctly has cost Burnley 3 points and given Liverpool 3 points they completely and utterly dominated the game, but it's really hard to sit here and go they deserved it, because they didn't really. Dubravka had one big save to make from Szoboszlai's strike from about 25 yards. If you look at the stats, there's probably about 22, 23 shots. Anybody who didn't watch this game will go, well, it looks like the goalie stood on his head, made all kinds of saves. That just isn't the case. He had one.
Yeah, I think it was going into the last 10 minutes. Liverpool had 2 shots on target. One of them was that one, and the other one was powder puff. But we can talk about what you deserve. Good teams find a way. That's the bottom line. Eventually, that dam's going to burst. Whether time runs out before that happens, looked like that was going to be the case today. But talk to me about Liverpool Football Club mentality from when you were there to now. Because already this season, we're mid-September. This isn't December, January. Liverpool have scored 4 goals that have won them the game in the last 10 minutes. Let's look at those, right? Against Bournemouth, Chiesa, then Salah, 88th and 94th. Against Newcastle, Gumoa, after the assist from Salah in the 10th minute of added time. Szoboszlai, 83rd minute against Arsenal. Now in the 95th minute, Mohamed Salah. What does that tell us about Liverpool's mentality?
Well, it's belief. That's what it is. You believe that either you or the guy standing next to you is going to produce something. And then when you add the quality that Liverpool have around the field, then you get opportunities. And when you have the ability to take those opportunities, then you end up winning games late. Mo Salah still has to take the penalty. We can't forget that. It's a fantastic penalty. Pressure's on. It's the last kick of the game. And he smashes it. No nerves, no nothing. Just cool and calm. Strikes through the ball. Again, does all the simple things that you do in football. Make sure you get a good contact. Get your feet in the right place. Plenty of power. And then you send the keeper the wrong way. It really is belief that you're always going to do it. Sometimes it comes earlier, sometimes it comes later. But right now, Liverpool do believe. And when you've got ability, then that just doubles the percentage of actually getting it done.
When you were at Liverpool, Stevie, you won 5 league titles. There must have been many games like this. I know we call it now a low block. It was just basic defending back then without the fancy name. Did you have that same belief, regardless if it was 0-0 and you'd had 80% of the ball, all the chances, and it just wasn't falling for you? Was there ever that kind of thought in your mind, do you know what, it's not going to happen for us today? Or is the Liverpool mentality, the Liverpool way, that it will happen and you have to keep believing?
Yeah, no, you don't. You always think, you always believe. That's an important one. It really is that. If players are knocking the ball around with 5 minutes to go, thinking we're never going to score today, well, guess what? You're never going to score. But when you actually think you can, then that drives you forward and makes you make decisions. And sometimes you have to be brave, and sometimes you have to gamble. And Mo Salah gambled when he took the shot that came off Hannibal's arm. You know, you take responsibility. Again, another important word. Everybody has to take responsibility for what their job is and what they have to do.
Let's go through some of the incidents in this game. There was a strong challenge by Ugo Chukwu in the 16th minute. He saw yellow for it. Should he have seen red, perhaps?
I think he should. You know, again, I don't think the intent's there to hurt McAllister, but at the end of the day, that's not really what the point is. The point is that you end up making a reckless challenge, and when you slide in and you connect with the opposition's standing foot when he's got all his weight on it, for me that's a red card. Now, if you're Burnley, you're probably asking a question of Kerkez. You know, sure. Slot took him off. Possibly and maybe before he got sent off, because
definitely because of that.
Yeah, he got a yellow for diving, completely stupid.
Yep.
And then not that long before half time, he pulled. I can't remember who it was. He pulled somebody back that could have been a yellow. I mean, the referee could have produced it, but didn't. And so yeah, Slot made a good move and took Kerkez off. But again, as I said, Burnley could argue that he should have been sent off.
It was a second yellow for Ugo Chukwu, 6 minutes from time.
He did, eventually,
he did. Look, from a Burnley perspective, they still defended well with the 10 men. Obviously, you want an extra body in there, but it's not as like one of the players has switched off and left a Liverpool player alone to score the winning goal. As you mentioned, it's Hannibal. He's come on as a sub. For Shuana after 63 minutes. And look, everything's going fine. I think you summed it up perfectly earlier. Dubravka's been there, but he's not really been kept overly busy. Yeah. What did you make of Burnley's tactics? Because up until that handball, he made no secret of the fact he's not going to have a go at Liverpool, Scott Parker. This is Burnley. And even although they did so well last season with 30 clean sheets, never conceded more than one goal, he knew how to get the best out of his players defensively. They knew what they were doing. And they got the tactics spot on, didn't they, up until that point?
You know, you got to do what you got to do.
Sure.
Regardless whether you're home or away from home, you know, the object is to try and win the game. And if you can't win it, then you get something from it. And on paper, Burnley didn't stand a chance in this game, even though they're at home. And so you have to cut your cloth accordingly. And that's what they did. Now, when you defend where they did, you cannot afford any mistakes. And up until the Hannibal mistake, because you can, if you want to split hairs, you can say it's a mistake from Hannibal. You know, he does what you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to turn your back. You're supposed to keep your eye on the ball. But up until then, every single player, every single one of them, had done their job. Closed the ball when it was needed. Shuffled across when it was needed. Forced Liverpool wide when it was. I mean, they did. From a defensive point of view, it was almost perfect. But that one mistake, that one little drop from one of the Burnley players has cost all of them 3 points.
He scored the winning goal, Mohamed Salah. He got the fourth against Bournemouth in the first game of the season. What have you made of his performances overall? Forget the goal scoring. Has he contributed enough to the Liverpool cause this season?
Whoa there, Leslie. If there's one thing you can't say about Mo Salah, it's forget the goal scoring, because that's what he does. I mean, that's what Mo Salah does. You know, Mo Salah is a guy, when he has the ball, you don't know whether we're still going to have the ball after he's touched it or not. He's a guy that tries to make passes that sometimes aren't on. He's a guy that sometimes stands on it. He's also a guy that smashes the ball into the back of the net on days when he's hardly kicked the ball properly. So, I mean, this is what Mo Salah is. Has he been silky? No, he has not. Has he been involved enough? No, he has not. But again, particularly when you play in the forward line, if what's going on behind you isn't quite working, then you're going to suffer more than anybody. And I think there's a little combination of Mo Salah not quite being at his best, but also he's not getting the ball in advantageous positions. He's getting the ball on the touchline with two defenders on top of him, or if he's inside, he's got three around him, or there's nobody making a run for him. So if we were going to talk about one player who has disappointed the most, I think we'd have to say Wirtz. If ever a player was brought in to break down a game, this was it today. A team that's going to sit in the defensive third and ask you to break them down. And that I'm afraid is Florian Wirtz's job. That's what he was brought in to do. And today, he couldn't do it. And he hasn't done it yet since he's come to the club. Now, the fact that Liverpool win again probably means that Arne Slot can keep pushing Florian Wirtz in the starting 11 and keep giving him time, hoping that his true form is going to come out. The problem is you got Szoboszlai who it seems is being forced into the lineup at fullback. You bring in Frimpong, you already have Conor Bradley, but you're shoehorning Szoboszlai in because he deserves to play. The fact that they win again, I think probably means that Florian Wirtz is going to start again next time out, which you could argue would not be the right decision.
Okay, let's look at it like this and continue that theme. Frimpong's back, and assuming he's back in the starting lineup, whether it's the next game or the game after that, you then move Szoboszlai into midfield. You've got Gravenberch, you've got McAllister. There's your four at the back. There's your three in midfield. You've got Gakpo on the left. You've got Salah on the right. You'll eventually have Isak, but for now you've got Ekitike. That doesn't leave a spot for Florian Wirtz. Do you bench someone who's played like he has if Frimpong starts at right back and you put Szoboszlai into midfield? And if you don't, who misses out?
Well, there has to be a point where you do bench them. You could try and play him on the left. I think at times he did come in from the left-hand side for Leverkusen.
Yep.
But again, that means are you being unfair to Gakpo? I guess on today's performance it wouldn't be unfair because Gakpo himself wasn't particularly great. But you could still argue that the same argument I gave you about Salah, you could still say the same thing about Gakpo. Without getting the ball in the right areas, then again his output is going to be a lot harder. So yeah, I mean, there has to come a point where Arne Slot has to decide whether Florian Wirtz has to sit, and if that's the best thing for Florian Wirtz, well, it won't be the best thing for Florian Wirtz, but if that's the best thing for the team, then again, Arne Slot, that's why he gets paid the big bucks. You got to make the tough decisions, regardless of whether you've paid 120 million for somebody or not. If they're not producing, and you have a squad that Liverpool do have, then you have to make a decision. And that can't be that far away, quite honestly.
Let's talk Alexander Isak. Arne Slot's comments about he will be integrated, but it'll take maybe a little bit of time. That's why he wasn't involved today, hasn't trained much, didn't do a pre-season. Obviously went away with Sweden, but didn't get involved that much over there because he's miles off it right now. When he's back to 100%, how do you envisage Liverpool's style of play, middle to front, will change from what it is right now? Because a lot of teams, they're not working out how to defend against Mohamed Salah, but as you quite rightly said, they're putting two on him, so there's space elsewhere. But then you've got to find a way to mark Isak. So how do you think Liverpool's style is going to be when Isak is leading the line for Liverpool?
I don't think it's not changing. Liverpool not changing. Isak is going to be eased into the team the way that Liverpool play. This is not we're going to change everything because we've just bought Alexander Isak. I think it's straightforward. He'll play, or Ekitike will play when he's 100% fit. And he will have to adjust round what Liverpool do. I don't see Liverpool changing the style. I don't see Liverpool changing the way they want to go about winning games. So it's going to be on Isak more to adjust to what's going on, and that's what Andy Slot will do in training. He'll put him in positions where Liverpool will do the things, the patterns of play, all the things that you do in training to help everybody when it comes to the real thing. And so Isak's going to cater to what the team's doing. It's not going to be the other way around.
Big week for Liverpool. I was commentating on Atletico Madrid yesterday. They got back to winning ways, got back to what we expect from them with a 2-0 win over Villarreal. A couple of injury issues for them. They face Liverpool at Anfield in the week, and then it's Everton next weekend. How do you think Liverpool approached the Champions League phase, where they play 8 games? They know they're pretty much assured, you would think, of a knockout place at the end of it. But the way the Champions League is now, Stevie, look at Paris Saint-Germain, who didn't have a good campaign in the league stage last year, but they qualified for the knockout stage and went all the way. So as far as priorities are concerned, is it Everton next weekend with regards to the way that the team's going to be composed, or is it Atleti in midweek? Do you expect changes for Atleti?
I do. I do. I think I'm talking a couple. Maybe Curtis Jones comes in, lets McAllister recover from that ankle injury. Conor Bradley might probably start at right back. I think there'll be subtle changes. I think it's probably too early. Certainly, in my opinion, it's too early to be start making a lot of changes and resting people. So I think both against Atletico Madrid and Everton, Liverpool will be putting out. Listen, against Everton, it's going to be the strongest side available. But against Atletico Madrid, there may be a couple of changes, but it'll be a real strong Liverpool side, and certainly Liverpool are big time favourites because they're at home. And as you said, Atletico Madrid have been struggling. Yes, they got that win over Villarreal, but it wasn't exactly. They didn't demolish them. They only had a couple of shots on target and actually got 2 goals out of it, and then defended well. So Atletico Madrid are far from their best. At the same time, I guess you'd say Liverpool are far from their best. They've got 4 wins now out of 4, but have been way short of certainly playing the type of football that we expect them to.
It's kind of ominous for the rest of the teams, is it not? If Liverpool not at their best, they're 4 from 4 and 100% record.
Well, it is if they can start producing what we think they're capable of. That means that they're going to be twice as difficult to turn over. And certainly, as you said, the way they've been performing has been the best. Mm-hmm. But you know what? As the old saying goes, it's a results business, and Liverpool are 100%.
And after that transfer window they've just had, which was unbelievable from any team's perspective, they've strengthened, they've pretty much got 2 super players for each position. Is this the best squad that Liverpool have had, both under Jurgen Klopp and Arne Slot, to attack all 4 competitions that they're going to be playing in?
I think so, yeah, 100%. I think the only position where they are maybe vulnerable is centre-back. Everywhere else, they absolutely have cover. We saw it today. Perfect example. Kirkhead's coming off. You got Andy Robertson stepping in there. You got Conor Bradley. You got Frimpong, middle of the park. I said Curtis Jones might play midweek. He can come in and do a great job. Endo can come in and do a great job. In terms of attacking, plenty of ability, plenty of numbers. So it really just, to me, comes down to that one position, centre back, where they're really thin. Joe Gomez is there to back Kanate and Virgil van Dijk up, but Joe Gomez has had some injury worries over the last certainly 2 seasons, and then that's pretty much it for Liverpool. They got the young Italian kid, but he's not ready yet. So yeah, they're looking strong. The squad's looking strong. Just that one area where if they get an injury or a suspension, that could give them a little bit of a hiccup right now.
Final question. Let's make it about Burnley, because we've spoken a lot more about them today had they held on and not conceded that late penalty to Mohamed Salah following Hannibal's red card, following his handball, sorry. Burnley find themselves with 3 teams currently below them, which would be enough come the end of the season to stay up.
Yeah.
Their issue appears not the organisation and defensively, because that's been pretty good last season and pretty good this season as well. Could goal scoring be their problem this season?
Yeah, 100%. You know, they had, I'd probably say 3 of maybe 4 breaks today on Liverpool where it was, you know, either 1v1 or 2v2, you know, situations where there was an opportunity to try and maybe take advantage of that counter-attack. But they just they didn't look as though they had the guile or the know-how. Now, at the end of the day, you know, when you're 1v1 against Virgil van Dijk, then it takes a bit of beating. Not everybody has Virgil van Dijk as a centre-back. But at the same time, you know, they really didn't look as though they were capable of getting even a decent strike on target. I don't think Alisson made a save the whole game, pretty much. So yeah, they're going to struggle at that end of the field. But as you rightly said, the only thing they need to do is finish 4th bottom. That's the only goal they have this year, and rightly so.
Thank you, Stevie. A late winner keeps Mr. Nicol's team top of the league, unbeaten with a 100% record. We'll be back in a few hours' time on the Full Time Whistle for the Manchester Derby reaction. Bye for now.